Welcome back to the Triplet Double podcast. Today I've got a really fun conversation lined up. I'm joined by fellow triplet dad Kevin Nguyen, and if you're on TikTok, you might already know him as at Triplet Dad Life. In just a few months, Kevin has built a following of over 150,000 loyal followers by going live during feedings, sharing the chaos, the laughs, and the reality of raising triplets. Kevin's story is powerful. He and his wife went through IVF, faced very tough challenges along the way, and now they're navigating life with three beautiful babies at once while also running a business. We talk about it all: the NICU, bottle routines, sleep training, and how he's using TikTok to connect with parents all over the world. It's raw, it's real, and it's a conversation you won't want to miss. Let's jump right into it with Kevin. Talk to me about from the very beginning, like when you guys first found out about triplets and like what that process was in through for you and your wife.
It was definitely, I think, a big surprise for the both of us, right? I think you can plan for multiples like twins, but triplets is not in your playbook ever. I don't think. I don't know
Never,
anybody out
never.
there who's like, hey, you know what? I think I may have triplets. So my wife and I, we originally had a miscarriage, and we spent a whole entire year trying to conceive, and that really didn't work out. And that's why we decided to go on this IVF journey. And during that
Mhm.
time, I was just give you a quick backstory, and I also want to give a big, shout out to all the moms out there and just sort of what they really go through watching just IVF in general. I mean, it's a whole different animal. It requires a different mental fortitude to be able to do what they do. So first off, huge hats off to them, right? But after my wife's miscarriage, we spent a whole year trying to conceive. During that year was probably also the hardest year of my life. I was in the process of having 2 years. I was saying 2 years of pure bad luck, like 10
Mhm.
years worth of bad luck just crammed into 2 years. Business turmoil, trying to grow the company, trying to scale financially is just a huge struggle. But then my dad
Yeah.
passed away right before our wedding. We had planned our wedding here in Denver, Colorado, so that my dad could be there, and sort of really see, his son finally get married. I'm the last son as well too. So I lost him right before the wedding. He was in the hospital multiple times. I mean, just any possible thing that could possibly happen, it happened. I was in a really
Mhm.
bad accident. I was in the hospital. I needed surgery. And then, like my dog died. It just keeps on going. It just wouldn't stop. And it was just required just so much, like some sort of resilience and
Mhm.
perseverance and understanding that like when you're really down in the dumps, there's no one that could really get you out of it unless it's you. And you have to just trust yourself. I mean, talk about business ownership. I'm not sure if you've ever had to go through it, but just having to go door to door, knock, calling every single bank, trying to keep your business afloat, cashing every possible thing financially in the process of also trying to cover, during my dad's funeral, I literally
Mhm.
would greet people at the viewing and then go back to work and pretend like nothing's wrong on the other
Right.
side of the phone at the funeral home.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different level of pressure. But anyways, I
Mhm.
think all that stress also attributed to why we couldn't have kids. And going back to the whole thing about how I just have a huge appreciation for my wife was because she also thought it was her,
Mhm.
of why we couldn't conceive. But really, when we went to go get tested in the IVF process, it was really primarily me. I think it was just, they measure three things, right?
Yeah.
Morphology, volume, and motility. And I was short in a couple areas. Hopefully,
Mhm.
that's not TMI. But anyways, so we went through this whole process. And the big thing about IVF too, and my wife wants kids. I'm not ready for kids because, like, again, financially, the business and everything, I'm just like, I can't afford kids right now. But given my wife's age, I was like, all right, we got to make this happen.
Yeah.
And with the IVF process, it's like, it's $40,000. So that's another 40 grand I had to come up, just got to pull
Yeah.
it out of a magic hat and try to figure that out. So that was really rough as well, too. So, I mean, I was just bleeding for just constantly. So the amount of stress, and then the only thing that we got to really, really look forward to was really just the IVF and the pregnancy. And with IVF, it's pretty planned, right? So they go through,
Yeah.
they sort of tell you, hey, this is how the embryo extraction works. This is how the egg transfer works, and this is how everything is going to go. So it's literally they're laying out the playbook for us. We just had no idea that in the IVF world, there's this thing called the BOGO sale where you could buy one get two free babies that come along with it, and that's how we got our triplets. So
Yeah.
really, we did not plan to have triplets. So it just really caught us by surprise. I mean, like again, we was just already set and planned and said, you know what, we're gonna have one, maybe two if we're lucky. But we just decided we had no idea that there was two embryos and one decided to split. So
Yeah.
that's how the triplets came.
No, yeah, it's
So
nice.
it was crazy because when we found out, we just didn't know what to do. Financially, I couldn't even tell my wife this. Was that financially, I was like, how am I going to do this?
Hmm.
There's just no possible way. But
Hmm.
and not only that, the hardest part about or one of the things about fatherhood too, or just being a parent in general, especially men, I feel like, is that you don't suddenly wake up the next day with this whole new parent mentality and parent energy and parent mindset, right? You
Right.
probably don't even know until like the day of your child's birth, or even sometimes for certain dads, they don't really have that connection until months and months later with their child. So I really didn't know because of what to expect of being a father, let alone being a father to three. And I think it was just this. I had to look at. I had to really look at myself in the mirror and say, "Hey, no one's going to get you out. You got this. You got to figure it out." So picked up the phone, started making a ton of calls, got everything fixed. We got backed up by a bank, and our company is doing well. And
Great.
it's just having to go through that. We made it through the wedding. I was able to take care of my dad's funeral. And it's funny because now that I have these triplets, I always make this joke to my friends is I think if I hadn't gone through just that 2 years of pressure, I don't think I would have the same level of patience I do today for my kids. I
Hmm.
probably would just have a meltdown for any crazy multiple thing. But I think I've just been so blessed and so lucky that the babies turned out to be very, very healthy. Girls have a couple thyroid issues, but they're healthy overall.
Hmm.
And you look at that and you're like, hey, you know what? I get to live another day. I'm blessed. I get to be with my family. And suddenly now your heart just it gets so much stronger and you feel like you could do anything. And I think that's why going back to sort of what we have talked about, right? And the whole TikTok thing and running
Yeah.
a company and trying to be a dad to three and trying to be present. I think certain people who aren't in those trenches don't realize just the different level of mindset that you have to just adjust and change for your family. So I
Hmm.
think someone said, we were really chosen to have triplets because I think I was born for it, or my wife was born for it as well too. So here we are.
That's amazing, man. That's awesome, and I like that you guys had. I like that you got that comment. I feel like when it comes to multiples, and I've gotten, I've the feedback I get when you mention triplets in general is always like you can get the super like great, nice compliments that are like, yeah, like, oh my, you're so blessed. Like that's always a great reminder. And then you get the people who are like just trying to make talk, but then they say stuff like, oh, better you than me, or you know what I mean? They say things like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and I get like I can't tell you how many times you get like those comments from like strangers where you're just like,
Oh yeah.
oh, that's funny, but and like deep down you're like, all right, like you know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I know what you're trying to say, but it's like
Yeah.
I don't know, to work on your wording a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I've learned, and luckily with social media, I've learned not to take everything so seriously,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's because like again, sometimes people may act with good intention, but the words may come out the wrong way, and
exactly. Yeah.
suddenly to them they make it sound like having triplets is a bad thing when really it's the
Yeah.
biggest blessing. So no, I hear you, and it's funny. How do you? Like when you're when you in the beginning when you're triplets taking them around how or did you get a lot of attention because everywhere we go man everybody just stops us and
Yeah, I can
like tries to
imagine.
talk to us.
Yeah, no, there's very much that. I think when we would take the girls for walks, um, they would see all the kids, of course, like all because again, my two older kids are 4 and 3, so like they're all really close in age, and they a lot of times they would think that Logan and Layden, my son and daughter, were twins because they're both tall and
Oh, got it.
they
Yeah.
look so similar, but they're not twins. And so when we would carry around the girls, people would stop and they'll be like, "Oh my God, all triplets!" Like you know what I mean? Like that's the first thing they all ask. And like, luckily, no one's been like weird and been like, "Can I hold one?" or anything like that. You know what I mean? Or like
We've
stuff like
gotten one
that.
of those too,
You
apparently.
have? Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
gosh, yeah.
yeah.
So it's been that's always that attention's good. It also can't. The triplets are like as far as going out and about, so well behaved. Like it's insane
Ah,
how
that's
that
I love
dynamic
that.
that dynamic works because you would think like three babies is going to be basically like like almost a hell. It's like, oh great, I got to take three kids out, and then now they're all going to no. It's really fascinating to see that the how the dynamic works amongst them as siblings because they came into this world together, and I feel like there's that. I don't know. It's just weird. Like they're really well behaved. Like I feel like and they catch on quickly to a lot of things. Like sleep training, they caught on pretty quickly. Like they catch on like with a lot. And when we go out, it's just like okay, yeah, they're like they can be. I can take them to more restaurants if I had the time and patience. To be honest with you, if I would be able to take them out more. Um, but when we do take them out, like yeah, they're really well behaved.
Yeah, no, we've been super fortunate. And we take our kids out quite often just to
Uh
get them
huh.
used to
Yeah.
going out. We've flown with them twice now, and
What's the
it
farthest you've flown?
Florida.
Really? Okay. Nice.
Yeah,
What is that?
yeah.
Like three
So
hours? 4 hours?
yeah, it's I think it's about 4 hours or three and
Okay.
a half, 4 hours.
Nice.
And yeah, no, it's the
Just you
babies have
two?
been doing great. No,
Okay. You had okay.
we probably wouldn't be able to. So generally, my mother-in-law's is
Nice.
traveling, or my
Okay.
sister-in-law's traveling as well too. But
Yeah.
and get this, so I'm not sure if you know this. It blows my mind too. So say you're traveling and you got three kiddos with you. If there's a maximum of, hold on, I'm drawing a blank now. One, two, three. So there's only three oxygen masks that's in three seats.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm not sure if you
Okay.
ran into that issue yet, but basically, my wife and I cannot sit with two lap childs because that's four oxygen masks.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So when we travel, if we were to travel by ourselves, my wife has to sit in one row by herself with two kids, and I would have to
Gotcha.
sit in the row next to her, but I can't sit in the same row as her and
Mm-hmm.
hold all three kids in the same row. We have to take up the whole entire row, basically, both
Yeah.
rows.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot more difficult to travel with
Yeah, it
triplets.
does. It does because when I had Logan and Layden close in age, like you said, they're like a year and a half apart. So there was a bit of that because I think they have to be two or older to be able to get their own seat. I think well, yeah, I think if they're under two, they're considered a lap. So like they have to sit on your lap. And so that we ran into a little bit of that there, and then we haven't flown with the triplets yet. Soon we'll go to California because that's where my mom's at, and that's probably
Oh.
that's where we moved from. So that's where we'll go. But yeah, we will need like 10 people with us for all the kids.
Yeah. How old are your triplets?
They are 18 months.
18 months? Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay. I thought your triplets were a little bit older. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you're right, just slightly ahead of me
Yep.
by a year. So yeah,
Not
good
too
luck
far
with the
ahead of you,
travel.
man.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not too bad. Once just like what you said, if they're well behaved and they have that connection
Mhm.
where they sort of like not mimic each other, but they can feel each other's energy, I think they'll do very, very well on the plane.
Nice. Talk to me a bit about I think like for the pregnancy, you mentioned the IVF process and a little bit about you and your wife. As far as like the pregnancy went, how often were you getting ultrasounds? And was there any like if it's okay for you to share, was there any like scary moments?
Complications?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really went by a blur.
Yeah.
So there's so many things going back to that hardship part. I feel
Yes.
like my mind was also on autopilot. I'm trying to remember a lot of this stuff, and
Hmm.
I life just went like a blur. But the pregnancy definitely was hard on my wife the first two trimester. So that
Yeah.
poor woman, She was throwing up 4 or 5 times a day, every day
That morning
for,
sickness is insane. Yeah,
yeah,
Elizabeth, my
yeah,
wife was like it was crazy.
yeah. So she did for almost 2 full trimesters. So that was really, really rough.
Wow.
Everywhere we went, like she was just constantly throwing up. So I felt horrible. Just
Hmm.
like again, going back to just watching what she goes through. And I'm
Yeah.
over here like eating anything I want.
Having a beer, enjoying
Yeah,
yourself.
just yeah, exactly. I was like, "You're doing great, honey. Just keep it up."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, "I love you so much that if I could carry a baby, I'd carry one, but
Yeah.
not three." Uh, so we had that. Once we figured out we were having triplets in the very beginning, they wanted to see us, I think, once every month, and then it became once every 2 weeks. So it
Okay.
was pretty frequent. And
Yeah.
the only complication we had was my wife, she's tiny. So before she had the babies, I think she was about 110 pounds, and she
Hmm.
had to gain like 60 pounds. So more than
Oh,
double her
really?
weight. Yep.
Wow.
So more than double her weight to carry the triplets. And then at 28 weeks, they were getting growth restricted, was what happened. So
Okay.
I was at work. She drove it to her own ultrasound, and then she calls me and said, "Hey, they're saying I need to go to the hospital." And that's when I had pretty much almost a total. I was imagining the worst possible. So
At 28
basically,
weeks, this was?
yeah, 28
Okay.
weeks. I met her up at the house. We packed our hospital bag. We went to the hospital to go get checked in. Luckily, they said, everything's good, but we're going to keep you here. So just like that, she was just driving. She was able to walk around, no issues.
Wow.
And they just say, "Hey, we've decided we're going to keep you for the next 4 weeks." So she
For
had to
four
stay.
weeks?
So she was
Oh,
basically
man.
bedridden for 4 weeks before the triplets came.
Wow.
But literally, it was just like that. They
Wow.
decided they wanted to keep her. So I was traveling back and forth twice a day, every day for the whole
Yeah.
entire time. And luckily, she was tired a lot, so I think she got to sleep. She got to get some
Yeah.
rest. But where did you have your triplets?
They were in Riverside.
Oh, in
Kaiser,
Riverside.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here in Denver, there's only two places that will take triplets. So it's PSL St. Luke's
Okay.
or the Children's Hospital, and the
Okay.
closest was St. Luke's. We wanted to go to Rose or Swedish, and they just would not accept triplets.
Wow. Okay.
So there's only one place. So we went to
Yeah.
PSL, and it wasn't too bad. The third trimester wasn't too bad for her, but I think once it was go time, it was very, very busy
Yeah.
because when it came to the delivery, we had over 20 people that was in the room. We had
Yep.
5 people per baby. I'm sure
Yep.
you
Yep.
you got to see that.
Yeah.
And going
That
back
was a
to
trip.
just that day of that delivery and just watching them, and she had a C-section, so watching them pull out baby A, which was
Hmm.
Benson.
Okay.
I was just barely like grasping the feeling of being a dad, seeing my son for the
Yeah.
first time. And my wife and I, we were terrified because we were
Yeah.
just waiting for the baby to cry. We're like, please,
Oh, I
everybody,
know.
please cry. So you know that feeling,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
again, it goes back to it's just 4 weeks of the baby being monitored 3 times a day. And they had these really cool heart monitors. They had one for each baby. So every day they had 3 heart monitors monitoring the babies, and it just takes hours to monitor the babies. So we got to
Hmm.
really sort of prepare. But anyways, when they pulled Benson out for the first time, before I could really grasp what was going on, and just sort of again having that that movie moment, within 40 seconds they're like, "Oh, baby number B," so they pulled out another baby, and then 45 seconds later they pulled out another baby. So they all 3 babies were born within a minute and a half of each other. So they were all 45 seconds apart. So it just blew our mind, and all 3 babies were turned out really healthy. Started crying. I got to walk around, and it's funny because we're first-time parents, so we don't know
Hmm.
what's like having one baby. So this is our normal. Was just my wife and I used to 3 babies out of the gate. We're used to changing. When they were in the NICU, we were there all the time, constantly changing all the diapers. And then you
Hmm.
do the math, and you're like, "Holy cow, you're changing 1,000 diapers a month."
Yeah. Yeah. That Nick, I can imagine. So I can imagine since this was you guys' first, like obviously your first kids, I can imagine that the NICU was so helpful. to getting them, like, you know what I mean, getting them ready to go home. Because I thought I found that incredibly helpful, because when we had ours were in a lot longer than yours. I think you said they were in
Really?
for. Oh well,
Six
no, one of
weeks.
them was. One of them was. Sorry, Samara was. So just to dial back, we had a again the triplets were spontaneous. We thought we were having our third child. They ended up being spontaneous. They told us it was twins at first, and then they were like, "Oh, actually, there's a third one." And that's when I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I just
Hold on.
yeah
Same
yeah
day, or the second or the third
No,
ultrasound?
same day, same ultrasound. So
Okay.
Elizabeth, my wife, was throwing up like insane amount, like when she first found out she was pregnant, and she kept telling me it's a boy or it's twins, because you know she has some distant twins in her family, but nothing
Right.
like not anything direct like to her direct you know lineage. But so we had gone through it, and they told us twins, and they're and like 30 seconds later she's like, there's a third one, I'm not kidding. And we're like, oh wow. Like when they told us twins, I was like, okay, like, you know what I mean, okay, well, instead of three we're gonna have four. And then they told us there's a third one, and that's where like that whole day I was just in complete shock, because you know, financially, there was like no way. I was like, okay, financially, I'm like, this is not possible. I don't know how this is going to work. Still to this day, I'm like, I don't know how this is working, but you know, we're here. So it's a reassuring message to everyone out there who may not feel like they have the finances in check, but you know, you find a way. And you know, if you can just summon up that strength to do it, you will get it done, you know? So I think that's just always something that I hear constantly is like, I don't have enough money to have kids. You know, if you have an accident, you have a little oopsie, right? You
Yeah.
will find a way. Like you'll find a way to get it done. So don't worry. But so we found out about that, and then the whole week I was just in shock, and I was like, okay, this is tough. And I didn't realize how high risk this pregnancy was.
Oh yeah.
I knew nothing. Like I knew
Yeah.
nothing about it. Like life did not prepare me for to understand the high risk of what twins is like, or triplets. And so going in, my wife didn't know either. We go through, and you know, we wait until like, you know, the 3 month mark where we're like, okay, we're going to announce we have triplets, because everything was going well. We were getting seen every 2 weeks, like for the most part. Like then, of course, after we had, you know, told everyone, then we go down to Riverside, the main hospital where we're getting her ultrasound. And this is where they have to do the measurements. Like, you know, they measure every little aspect of them, their heads, their kidneys, all that. They're measuring all this. And then like, the tech, ultrasound tech doesn't say anything. She walks out, and then they're like, oh, come step over here in this room. We're like, okay. And we go in this other room, and then the doctor comes in, the parentologist. She comes in, and she's like, so here's where baby A's at, and then here's where baby C's at, and then she's like, baby B is she's facing something that we call severe like growth restriction. She's not growing at the rate she should be growing, like with the other two, because the other two were growing just, you know, for the most part fine. And then Samara was not, baby B was not, and so that was a hard one, because she talked about like basically like you can reduce, you can, you know, here's your options, like, you know what I mean.
Oh my
And
gosh.
all I heard was, and my wife too, all we heard was like they're telling us to say, hey, your best outcome is to reduce to a single. And that was just it. That was insane, because I've, you know, I that was hard news, because that's all I focused on was like, okay, you know, I had thought of this life already. I envisioned this life with the three babies coming in, and like, oh, I'm gonna call them tres leches, like I'm giving them cute nicknames, all this. And then when they came and they brought that in, they were like, hey, they're like, you know, this is to give mom the best chance, and to give the babies the best chance. You know, reduction is probably what you want to do, because
Oh
this one,
man.
yeah, baby B is, if anything happens to her, because baby C, they're sharing a placenta. Basically, baby B passes, well, C is going to get affected by all that.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
we would basically risk losing both. And so that was where we were like, oh God, like never, I hadn't, you know, that was a hard one. So yeah,
When did you find out? How far along was she?
we were just past we were around 16, 17 weeks.
16, 17 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. That's when we had found that out about the severe growth restriction is what it's called.
Okay. Yeah.
And that happened there. And we were like, okay, well, we want a second opinion, because that parentologist was, she said, you can get a second opinion through Kaiser, because thankfully one of the best parentologists in the country is through Kaiser, and he is in Los Angeles. He's right there at Sunset, like right off the Sunset Strip, and there's that big Kaiser there. So they were like, you can go see this doctor, and you can get a second opinion and see what he says. So that's what we did. So we scheduled it out like right away. We went there, and he did the ultrasound himself, which is like rare. I've never seen a doctor do an ultrasound. I always see the tech, right? This
Right.
this this dude was doing it, and he was measuring everything, fluids, all that, just to make sure, like, okay, what are we looking at? And he's just said, take it week by week. Like, that's it. Like, you don't need to make a decision right now. And from what I see right now, you don't need to make a decision. She needs to hit basically over a pound, because that's the smallest. I think it was like a pound. And at Riverside, the smallest baby they've ever delivered was like a pound and 2 ounces or 4 ounces. I think there's some type of press release about that, but that was the smallest. So my wife and I were like, okay, if we can get Samara to over a pound, then there's a good chance she can make it. But what the hard part was, and this is why I'm like, I am terrified of ultrasounds now because of this, was that they made us get one every week. So every Tuesday we had to go in and get an ultrasound every week, and that sucked because I just kept waiting for like I was just hoping there was no bad news. But in your mind, you're just like, oh, they do baby A, and I'm just like, okay, great, she's growing because we know. Then they would get to baby B, and it was just terrifying because you're just like, please, like, let us make it out, like, you know what I mean? And that was hard.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
I could relate a little bit. It's always baby B, man. My baby B, she was the same thing too, Amelia.
Oh,
So
my daughter's name is Amelia.
oh really?
It
Oh, that's
is
awesome.
Emilia.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
my daughter's with an A. So
She's
yeah,
with an A.
Amelia is
Cool.
such a cute name, but it
It
sounds like
is.
both Amelias are troublemakers, is what
Yes.
I've discovered. So Amelia, baby B, we were having growth restrictions for her at 28 weeks, so it wasn't
Wow.
until later.
Okay.
And we were as reduction in the very beginning, but it was just early on, just because they told us about the risk. But even
Yes.
then, when you think about like which baby am I going to get rid of? You can't, right?
Morally,
Like,
morally, there's like,
yeah,
what can you say? It's just,
yeah, well, what can
yeah.
you say? So we're in it for the long haul. And
Yes.
then at 28 weeks, that's when Amelia was really growth restricted, but definitely not as severe as what you went through. But there was a part where we started noticing that baby B was not growing at all, like hardly growing. And I was like, oh
Oh,
my
wow.
God. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Because,
Yes.
Benson was baby A was growing, baby C was growing, and it just I could relate a little bit when you talked about the going to the ultrasounds and just sort of
Hmm.
hoping to see what that next step is. So,
Yes.
but yeah, that's why my wife got admitted into the hospital at 28 weeks, and even that having that three baby monitors just constantly
Yeah.
listening, and in the very beginning it's really hard for them to find all three babies heartbeats because they're just so close to each other, but they don't really tell
Yes.
you that. They're
Yeah.
just saying it's really hard to find her heartbeat, and they're
Hmm.
there for 3 hours, and I'm just there, just terrified. I was like, please just
Yeah.
help us find all three heartbeats. So that the risk is I don't know what the risk is for triplets, but I know when they say when you have like twins, your risk increases by three folds minimum.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
triplets is going to be significantly more than that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. They, from my understanding, was what our parentologists would say. They're like, here's the twins risk. Okay, triplets is basically double that. Like, that's kind of like what they worked off of. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
there's always going to be that. They don't have the exact number, but they're just like, we already know there's this risk. Naturally, adding another baby in there, then it increases by, double or something like that. I forgot the
yeah.
exact term, but yeah.
And I
No,
was
yeah.
and I was scared of was it is it like TTS or twins
Twin to,
transfusion
yes,
twin
that was a
to
big one.
transfusion
Yeah, yeah.
syndrome, and that's when I was like, Addison is drawing more. Is Addison drawing more nutrients than
Yes.
Amelia? Is that why Amelia is so small?
Hmm.
So there's just a lot that you constantly think about when there's three.
There, yeah, 100%. And again, I don't think we didn't get told these risks until probably, no, literally, we did not get told. We just knew there was a high risk. They were like, oh, you're going to be seen every 2 weeks because it's a high risk pregnancy. That was it.
Got
But
it.
we didn't get told. Like, they didn't. And it wasn't until I went on Reddit, and there's the Reddit sub, which is the parents of multiples. which is a great resource because there's plenty of twins and triplet parents on there. But it wasn't until I went on there that I saw that people were like, "Hey, did you get asked about a reduction like at your pregnant like with your twins or your triplets?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, they're supposed to tell you like, early on like when you first find out." Well, I told my wife and I was like, "Hey, they haven't talked to us about like a reduction. Like, is that normal? Like because I'm just curious to know like is that only being told if something is not going to like work out, or is that something that's told right away so understand what you're committing to? Because getting into that high risk of a pregnancy is just like at a certain point you can't do nothing to fix it, like basically to help the mom or help the babies, right? So that's where I had no idea, and it wasn't until that first talk with the perinatologist where they said, hey, baby B has growth restriction, where we learned about really all those potential problems, those complications you can run into. So that was something that I wish they would have talked to us earlier, because that would have helped me mentally prepare for that conversation. Because instead, it felt like it came right out of like left field. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It goes back to, I don't think people realize how rare triplets are
Mm-hmm.
either. So even like a lot of ultrasound techs and just people in the field,
Mm-hmm.
it's very rare that you see triplets. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Super rare.
I think our clinic hasn't seen triplets in like 17 years or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the number is very, very small.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's surprising because I mean, it's not. Well, I don't know what the population of Denver is, but it's big. I mean, it's not
Oh, I
tiny.
did the math.
Yeah.
I actually did the math the other day because I was talking to someone about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's only 30 triplets a year in Colorado
Oh, okay.
born. So that
Okay.
number's pretty low. 30
Yeah.
sounds like a lot, but it's pretty low for a state.
That
So
makes sense. Yeah. That
yeah,
makes sense.
there's really not that many. But yeah, no, just
Cal,
it's I
Cal, sorry.
good.
California, there was, I think there's like one triplet every year at that Kaiser, at that Riverside. It's like, we
Oh,
get it.
really?
Yeah. It's like every year there's like an annual triplets that come in. And
Yeah.
so I think after we left, literally, like, I think after Samara finally got out, so Samara, baby B, she was in the NICU for 90 days. And
Oh my
so,
gosh.
yeah, so she was there the longest, but Amelia and Nora got out like less than 2 weeks. So that was awesome because they were almost 5 pounds when they were born. And Samara was 1 pound.
Wow.
Samara was 1 pound, 8 ounces. She was
Oh my
tiny.
gosh.
Yeah, dude. It was crazy seeing her come out, because that was the one, like when you went
Yeah.
back to the whole conversation of the delivery, as they do the cesarean and they're going through and there's a million people in that bright white room, everyone's assigned to a baby. You wait to hear the crying, and there, as soon as Samara came out, they're like, "Oh my gosh, tiny baby!" And I saw her, and she was just all like, like it was like the tiniest little thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
Well, it's your story is so awesome just to hear, because you also have two others. So I can't
Mhm.
imagine what you guys were going through when two got to go home. So you have two newborns at home, and then you got two toddlers, or two young ones, and then you still had one that was in the hospital. I can't imagine
Mhm.
what you had to go through for that.
Yeah.
That's just
A lot of
that's not
driving
fun.
back and forth. My wife went back every day. I for to see. Well, the good I mean, and then also the hospital. You can't stay there for while they're at the
Yeah, I
NICU the
know.
whole time, which
I know.
sucks because then you're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I have to leave and come back, and so that sucks. So we got to stay there for like 4 or 5 days after the delivery, which was amazing. It was more than what they should have given us, but they gave it to us, and we were able to, be there every day and hang out with the girls and like feed them and just skin to skin, do all the bonding things you're trying to do. But we then after we had to leave, my wife went every day. I went pretty much every day for those first 2 weeks, and then after they came home. Well, now it's like, okay, you don't have just two at home. Now you have four at home. So we all can't be there every day. So
Right.
I made sure my wife went every day, because I know how important that was for her, for Samara. So she went every day, and I went like every other day after that, because and my mother-in-law was stayed with us, which was a blessing, because you can't do that without family help, some type of help, whether you hire or you get family help. Like, it just makes a huge difference. And my mom's in California too at that time, so she was able to help us too. But yeah, that was tough because the hospital was not down the street. It was, and this is SoCal traffic. You know that how that can be like. That's like 45 minutes each way, like
Oh
one
my
way. You know what I
gosh.
mean? So yeah, we had to
Yeah.
drive 45 minutes to get to the Riverside Hospital, and Yeah, it was a long journey. She was tired.
Yeah.
That was tough, man. Yeah.
And even like with the triplets in the NICU, because you got three babies you got to worry about, and
Yes.
mom's in overdrive, right? Like she
Yeah.
hear some slight bad news, and she's gonna assume the worst. And you have
Yeah.
it across all three babies. Like they're constantly scanning our babies' stomachs, or because they haven't pooped
Oh,
for
right.
certain days,
Yes.
and then they have to go back under the incubator because they were all having jaundice or something, and it's
Yes.
just one thing after another. But when you have the multiple factors of three, it's just constant. Like there's always something going on. And again, it
Right.
goes back to, I think that's luckily I've been fortunate enough to sort of just learn and accept that, hey, life is life, right? Like you can't just celebrate and only accept
Hmm.
just the good things. You have to be able to take on everything. And if you're able to navigate that, life is a lot easier. So I've just learned
Yeah.
how to like try to laugh at myself a lot when I'm not when I'm trying to wing it, right? So,
Hmm.
and back to what you said, that the NICU was so helpful. They really taught me how to be a dad. They taught us how to be parents,
They
change
crush
the
it. Hmm.
diapers. I mean, yeah, they really do crush it. So big shout out
Yeah.
to the NICU nurses. But like we're talking about, like we're feeding 27 bottles a day.
Yes.
It's just different,
It's
right?
insane, man. It's
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
And
Because
and then when did your babies get delivered? How many weeks?
they made it to, so they made it to the 34-week mark.
Oh wow,
It was
34?
a
Okay.
miracle, man, because when I was telling you that whole week ultrasound, they were
Yeah.
like, "You got to be ready to go." Basically, after if as soon as we made it past, like I think the because when we talked about how I saw that main parentologist specialist in LA, what he basically said was, "Here's the procedures that need to happen if you know it hits the fan. Like if it hits the fan, here's what you got to do. Like you got to be able to prepare for these. The whole like there's like three different surgeries you can do, and none of them are at all like fun, and none of them came out. None of them was a way to come out where all three were here. They were all like basically like surgeries to say, okay, if worst comes to worst, here's what you can do to have two or one. You know what I mean? So that was the hard part. So, but we knew after like I forget like how little they can be to be delivered. I think they have to be like what, like 25, 26 weeks to really have like at least like the lungs there and all that to like really survive. Of course,
Yeah.
there's no guarantee that they do, but I think it was around then. So I think after we made that mark, they were just like, be ready to go because, I forgot the exact terminology that they were referring to, what could happen with the babies, but they were like, basically, if this happens, we need to get you to the delivery room. And so we always had a bag packed to just in case. And we were just like, please just make us like, we got to make it past like 30 weeks. Like every time we'd
Yeah.
like 28 weeks, 30 weeks, please, 32
Yeah.
weeks. Like, yes. And then when we finally made it 34, we were just so relieved. Yeah. So
Did your
34.
wife did your wife have to stay in the hospital before? Or
No, no.
oh my
And
gosh, wow.
yeah, she didn't. No. So, yes, I'm sorry. She did. She stayed 48 hours before delivery.
Still
So,
though. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was it. Only because, and here's why, and this is our theory. We had the two toddlers at the house.
Okay.
They don't let you like they don't let you like
Hmm.
take like really you're able to take a nap or something. But I had to work, and I wasn't always working from home. So if I'm not working from home, then my wife and my mother-in-law were there, and dude, these kids are active, like they're running around and they're like doing things. So like,
That's
and you
true.
gotta get them feed, you gotta feed them. Like still, like what I mean, there's still a whole parenting routine there. So I
Yeah.
think that's what my wife and I say. We're like, I think with my wife having to move around because of the toddlers, that I think that might have helped. But I don't know. It's just a theory. Like I mean, there's no guarantee on that at all. You know what I mean? But um, I think that's hopefully. I think that's why. I mean, like we'll help make
Sure.
it to 34 weeks. Like the act she was staying active like that.
Yeah.
Um, but those things are unpredictable, man. I don't think there's any guarantee for anything. Like you can be the fittest person alive, and you still run into issues. You can not
Just
be.
complications.
Yeah,
Yeah.
complications happen. It's just how unfortunately it's how life works.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was crazy too because when my wife the third trimester, luckily the third trimester wasn't nearly as intense.
good.
And she spent 4 weeks in the hospital in the maternity ward, or I keep forgetting what it's called. Is it the early delivery ward,
Hmm.
ward? And there would be all these moms that are coming in. And they're literally in there for maybe 24, 48 8 hours at the longest. They deliver the
Hmm.
babies and then they get moved to the sort of next section. So my wife was there by herself for like
Oh,
4 weeks. So she got to know
dang.
all the nurses very well. But she luckily at it was the same thing too. We're like, please just get our babies to 30 weeks. Once they get
Yes.
past 30 weeks, that's the golden number. They're going to be in better shape. And the big thing
Hmm.
about Colorado too, being in the Mile High State, they were saying like a lot of babies that are born premature, more than 50% of them sort of come home with oxygen. So
Oh, yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were really lucky. None of our babies had
That's
um,
awesome.
to come home with oxygen. And then
Yeah.
Benson and Addison, my third one, they came home Tuesday night, uh, and then Amelia got to come home like Thursday night.
Okay.
So we got all three of our babies home the same week, which was nice.
That's awesome.
But would have been really, really tough just traveling back and forth, trying to
Yeah.
manage it all.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And I think going back to that comment about like Denver's altitude, that was something that was a concern of ours because we knew when we had the triplets, we were like, we got to move because it's just my mom out there. My mom and I are running Table Media Group. So we're running that business and my mom can't stay home, like, you know what I mean, and help full time. But, her mom's retired. So, and she has other family here in Colorado, like aunts and uncles. And so we were like, okay, well, once we this was like halfway summer of last year, basically where it kind of, or not, maybe it was like fall of last year. I think fall of last year is when we came to the realization because they were born in March 2024. So yeah, it was about probably fall. That's when we came to the realization like, hey, we need to move because we just can't do this in California. It's so expensive. We don't have a big enough house for it. Now I have a big enough house where I can fit all the kids in their own bedrooms now. But we just there was a lot of those things. And so with Samara, with how small she was, kept asking the hospital in Kaiser, we are like, can she go to Colorado? Like, okay, because we were just making. They were like, oh, you have to. The altitude could be a challenge for her, but thankfully it wasn't. As far as I know now, it wasn't when we moved here in January. So that's true. I think people forget about that. Like,
So you've been here since January?
yeah, January.
Okay. How are you liking Colorado?
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I think there's not enough great places to eat. Like compared to like I feel like I
Yeah.
don't. And to be fair, I'm in a smaller town. I'm not in Denver. And I've been to a few different spots in the Denver area. But I miss a lot of Asian cuisine. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of great Asian food spots in SoCal and in California.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty diverse. Um, Here in Pueblo, there's a few different ones. They're finally opening like a Korean Japanese mart here
Okay.
in town, so now I don't have to go to
Nice.
Springs anymore. So that's cool. But overall, I like it. I think it's Pueblo's nice and slow. Like it's pretty chill. Like if you have as many kids as I do, like it's chill. Like you know what I mean. Like
Is it?
you're not sitting in
Yeah.
traffic, right? Like that's always a
Yeah.
big thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you're from here, right?
Pretty much raised here. My
Pretty much
family and
raised
I,
here. Okay,
yeah, my family and I was actually born in Vietnam.
okay.
So my family and I, we immigrated, and we were actually refugees. So we
Oh
escaped
wow,
Vietnam,
wow.
and then we moved, or we escaped to the Philippines. We were in the Philippines, excuse me, for 4 years before we got sponsored, and we finally came to America.
Oh wow.
And then we grew up in Denver, just most of my life.
How old were you when you came?
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
And then how was the language barrier at first? Do you remember?
I don't remember much,
Okay.
but it wasn't too bad. At
Okay.
least
That's good.
for me. My parents a lot harder. So my dad,
Yes.
he was already in his 50s, and my mom, she was in her 40s. So the language barrier was really, really tough. But
Yeah.
kids, we picked it up pretty quick.
That's good. That's
But
good, man.
I got to sort of see, watch my whole family um, sort of build a life here, and I got to see my
Yeah.
parents help build sort of their American dream, and they sort of instilled some really, really good, qualities that I hope to be able to pass on to my children one day.
That's awesome. How many siblings do you have?
So I'm the only child between my mom and my dad,
Oh,
but
okay.
I have like 10 half siblings. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Gotcha. On your
siblings from
dad side?
yeah, dad's side and also my
Okay.
mom's side as
Oh, on
well
your
too.
mom's side? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And they're all in the States?
No, not quite, but most of them are. So I have
Okay.
family in Switzerland. I have family all over the world.
That's cool. I know you guys left, but I mean, is there ever like a reason to go back and visit Vietnam?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was actually supposed to go back during the same year as well too, as our wedding because we were supposed to fly back to Vietnam. I to visit the motherland, but also get measured for all of our suits and everything for the
Okay.
wedding because it was going to be a lot less expensive. And then my business was just it was just really required me to be here, which
Yeah.
turned out to be a good thing because my dad got sick and he was admitted to the hospital while my wife and her sister was in Vietnam. So had I gone, it would have been really, really rough. So
Yeah.
I missed my Vietnam trip as well too. But one day, I think the next trip, I get to take all of my kids
That'd be awesome, man.
to
Yeah.
Vietnam. So it's gonna be amazing.
That's cool. I want to talk to you about a few more things before we get off, but one of them, which is, I think this is probably, we talked a little bit about the bottle feeding. And so when you got the triplets home, what was your bottle routine? Like as far as
Oh man,
how often how often were you
yeah, we
having
were
to
feeding
feed?
so much. Yeah, we were feeding so much. I think that's probably what really helped us go viral on TikTok as
Yeah.
well too, because you would feed the babies every 3 hours, and it would
Yes.
take me 2.5 hours to feed
It takes a long
all three
time.
babies. Just the routine, right? The whole
Yeah.
NICU routine is gotta change them, gotta give them care time, which is, you're cleaning them and doing
Yep.
other things, and then you feed the babies. And I just remember, like it was yesterday. It took 2.5 hours, and by the time we were done, I was like, "Well, gotta clean the bottles. They were gonna feed again in 30
Yeah,
minutes."
I know. Yes.
So the bottle feeding was just I and you would think that like you've mastered it, but now the bottle feedings is just different. So
Yeah.
now I have a really slow eater. I have one that doesn't want to eat, always wants to play when he sees dad. So it's like it's a different level of challenge here.
Yes.
And we were spreading them into like 4 hour feedings now, which supposedly was very successful in the very beginning. We went to Florida, we came back, and I don't know what happened afterwards. And it
Oh,
just changed. And
they got
yeah,
jacked
yeah,
up.
it threw out their schedule. And now we're cluster feeding. So we feed them
Oh
whenever they're
man.
hungry. So
Gotcha.
basically, we're feeding them every 3 hours again. And then sometimes we got to give them a snack. So
Yeah.
we're back to 27 bottles a day. I just like, oh my gosh. But
Yeah.
it really is fun just watching each one, how each one drinks and how each one. I think that's the best part. I think for me, it's now one of my favorite things to do is to be
Yeah.
able. That's my alone time with
Yeah.
the babies where I get to just really really spend time with each one, and I still feed one of them at a time if I can. So,
That's cool.
sometimes we'll feed two or three to
Yeah.
speed things up, but if I get an opportunity where I get to feed one at a time, I definitely will.
So you'll feed one by one by one.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow, they don't freak out yet.
No.
Oh wow, that's
Oh
cool.
well, hold on, I take that back. I have one
Okay.
that does freak out.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
always get people that ask me, I was like, "Well, which one do you feed first?" I was like, "Oh, I feed my favorite one of the day." So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, my wife can feed all three at once. So I'll feed two or one, but if I can, I'll feed one at a time.
Well, you're still early enough, and I will share this with you because maybe I don't know how your wife does it, but we had, well, obviously we knew we were like, okay, look, you know this too. Like one person, like it's tough when you have to, when it requires more than one person to feed the babies because that takes away from other house duties, other things going on. And in our
Yeah,
case, the other kids. So we were like, we had to figure something out. And so Elizabeth had ordered the Snuggle Me loungers, and they're just those little beds, you know what I mean, with like the
yeah,
little like pillows on the side, right? They can lay in the middle, and they have like a little, basically like a pillow all around. So we started them off like right away as soon as we could. Of course, you can't when they first come home from the NICU. Like Amelia and Nora, we were hand feeding them because it was two. Like I think two's easier than trying to feed three. So it was only two. We'd hand feed them. But once Samara came, we needed to figure out. how to do all three and how one person can do it, because if one person can't do it, then it's just really it's a mess and it's hard. So we did the snuggle me loungers, laid them on their side, and they would, because the snuggle loungers are elevated, like the
Right.
babies are they're elevated, so they're not like flat, but they're elevated. We would tuck a few burpers underneath the bottle. So, and I have pictures of this, but the bottle would just be elevated like that, and then like their heads like right here, and then they just lay down and they would just eat like that, like
Yeah.
what I mean, they have their hands covering, and that would be pretty much how we did it. And that's still that worked for the longest time. Samara was our hardest one because like she had to be hand fed a lot because of she was so small. But once she got big enough, she would do it, and then she would also be the one that wants to play. Like
Yeah.
she'll like eat, and then all of a sudden she'll like spit it out and like look at you, and you're like, all
Yeah.
right, let's get this figured out. So yeah, that's how we did it. I don't know how your wife solo
We're
feeds
doing
them.
the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool,
We just lay them in a boppy and we sort of lay them on their
nice,
side.
nice.
She's very, very good. She's very good at feeding the babies. I don't
Yeah.
know. For me, I think it's probably because like maybe I work too much, so I come home, so it's like I'm learning my children all over again. But and then they also see dad, and they just want to play. And they're just super active, mobile,
Yes.
move around. It's so hard for me to get them all three of them to drink all their bottles now.
Hmm.
So it's like I gotta we go like halfway, we'll take a break, come back. So it takes pretty long for me. But my wife, she's very good at feeding all three at once.
That's cool. Yeah, that was all
It's got to be
Elizabeth.
efficient.
Elizabeth, yeah. The wives, they know a thing or two about a thing or two, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they know how to do this. Yeah, they're much better
yeah.
than I am.
Yeah. I still get my babies mixed up, man. There's feeding the wrong baby the other day. I was like, wait a minute, you're not Amelia,
Yeah,
and I'm just
yeah.
like, oh man, dad brain.
And then you get family members who absolutely are just baffled. They're like, "Which one's that?" And I'm like, "All right, well, okay, that's Amelia, that's Nora." They can always tell who Samara is because Samara is literally just a mini me of Nora. Like
Gotcha.
they're
She's just
they're the
tiny. Yeah,
same. They're like the same. They're identical. They look the same. Samara's just smaller. So it's just that's pretty funny. Um, and are any of yours identical that you know of?
yeah. The two girls are identical, and
Okay.
then Benson is fraternal.
Yes, that makes sense. Nice. That's cool. Now you're still in the thick of it, and I am too, of course. But now I'm on a different stage. They're walking and they're doing all those things, which is it's a handful, man. I'll tell you this. Like, yeah, it's a handful. But let's talk about sleep training. How's that been going?
Not
You
very
sleeping?
well.
Not very well.
Yeah, it's like no, it's not too bad. It's actually my again, hats off to my wife.
Yeah.
She handles the late night shift. I
Okay.
handle the early morning shift, and we're going through a lot of company growth as well too. So part of that requires me just to work a
Hmm.
lot.
Hmm.
I've been working 60 to 80-hour weeks just to
Wow.
try to keep us going, right?
Yeah.
So she does take care of the night shift. Right now we still have to wake them up every 4 hours still per our
Okay.
pediatrician because they're undersized. So
Yeah.
when Amelia was born, she was 2.5 pounds.
Oh
So she's
wow.
tiny. So we have two and a
Yeah.
half pounds, 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds.
Okay.
So we haven't really gone through the full sleep training deal
Yeah.
yet, other than we still have to wake them up every 3.5 to 4 hours.
Oh
Um,
man. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
and then we
hard.
got to
Yeah.
feed the babies, we got to change them.
Yeah.
So,
Can't really
but the,
sleep train when you're required to feed them. You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah,
That's hard. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Everyone's suggesting us like to do cereal, but our pediatrician didn't really recommend that. So
Yeah.
the next big stage is going to be solids. So once we
Okay.
switch them over to solids, they're probably going to sleep a lot longer and a lot better.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For sure. I think the 6 to 8 month is where like they for sure when the overnight feedings will stop. Like they'll be able to. You know what I mean? Because that's well, I think ours were around. They had been closer to 8 months when the overnight feeding stopped. They
Got
could
it.
have been
Yeah.
younger, but I have to, I wish I remembered better. But um, they now, like we figured out, we knew after their 1 year birthday, we were like, we got to get these girls to sleep through the night because up to a year, they were like still awake, especially with the move too from here. They would cry a lot, and want to be held, and we would always have to rock them to sleep. Like not always have to pick them up and rock them. Like when we put them to sleep,
Yeah.
since they were like 6 months and older, what we would do is we would hold one. So we had to figure it out. Like how can one person put all three to sleep? So what we did was we hold one and we have two in rockers, and so like our feet we just use to bounce them. That's how we would get them to go to sleep. And I think they would. I think of course they still had a like a they would still had a bottle like before bed at this time.
Right.
And then when we did that, we started to like we would do that until they were 1 years old. Like that was like the only way to do it. Like you know what I mean? Like and because we didn't do a great job sleep training our older kids, and so now after one, we were like we need to do like basically the Ferber method is what we had to do. Like we did a hybrid of it. So Elizabeth did a hybrid version of it, and so we would just after we took away they stopped doing their bedtime feeding, we would take them in there, put it in their sleeper sacks, get them all ready. We have the shusher, so we already have a hatch that plays the white noise, and then we have
Right.
a shush machine, and so that shush machine goes on for 30 minutes. Crank it, and then we would put them in their sleeper sacks, kiss them goodnight, and then we would just drop them in there and be like, okay, goodnight, you know.
Yep.
And of course, Samara we use an outlet like baby monitor,
Yep.
and so we have the sock only for Samara because she was so little, and we didn't need to buy three for the other two girls. So there's a few times where they cry a lot, and then you're like, okay, we have to go in there because it's too much, like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But after 2 weeks, they kind of got the hang of it, and then they started putting themselves to sleep, like for naps, for bedtime, and then they got sick. They got sick for like 2, 3 weeks, and it jacked everything up. So we had to restart
Oh
over,
man.
and that sucked because we were like for like a week we were like, yes, they're sleeping through the night. Like this is awesome. They're putting themselves to sleep, and then now after they got sick, they're back on it. So they've been doing it, I think, consistently now for about 3 months.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's awesome, man. So it's a
Yeah.
game changer when you can sleep through the night. Like you're
Yeah.
just like, whoa, this is easy. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, my wife, we have a bed in the
Uh-huh.
nursery, so
Okay.
she could sort of help them out. But
Yeah.
two of them, they're starting to sort of get the hang of understanding that it's nighttime. Even, they'll lay in bed, they'll babble a little bit, and then they'll just
Yeah.
sleep. So when we turn off the lights, so they are getting used to it. But they're still waking up every 3.5, 4 hours, and they just like to wake up in different intervals, so to keep them
Oh
up.
yeah. Yeah. We that scheduling, dude. That's why I'm saying the NICU is such a big help. But even now, like we keep them on like, dude, if they wake up, like okay, it's like they all need to wake up roughly in the same ballpark time, like from naps. Like we do one nap a day still, and so they have to wake up at the same time, feeding them on the same time. Because if you just like if you're chasing three different schedules, you've set yourself up. You know what I mean? And that can be
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the big thing right now
Yeah.
is just making sure you keep your babies on a routine.
Yes.
So we haven't gotten to the part where we have to wake up the babies if one's crying to wake up the other two. We haven't reached
Mm.
that just yet, but that's the biggest thing is you put the babies on a routine, you feed them all around the same time, they get used to it. And if you don't, then all hell breaks loose.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. Okay. So we talked about the journey. Talked about the NICU. We talked about bottle feeding, and we talked about sleep training. Now let's chat a little bit about your TikTok and your success. I want to revisit that a little bit. So because we opened up earlier with it, but from start to finish, just talk to me again. When did you first go live? And
So
how did you get that username, Triplet Dad Life? I feel like that one should have been taken. There's no way that one was not taken.
dude, it's freaking taken on Instagram and it's taken
Yeah,
on Gmail too.
that's what
And I
I
didn't
mean.
know.
That's what I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
dude. That
yeah.
had to have
So
been
so
taken.
yeah, so and it's funny because I have a twin dad life that always watches me. Now he tunes in, which is funny. But I started on TikTok. I didn't start on any other handles. So that's when I was like, oh, Triplet Dead Life, this thing's freaking awesome. And then I
Yeah.
go to Instagram and it's taken up. And then I go to YouTube, it's taken up, and Gmail's taken up. I was like, oh, dang it. So for now, I'm still going to continue doing the Triplet Dead Life. Hopefully, we don't have to
Yeah.
rebrand or anything. But I really started going live when they were 3 months in. And
Okay.
again, it goes back to, man, that first time I went live, I was like, there's 50 followers. This is crazy. Like, it just blew my mind that 50 people are actually watching me And it was always the same questions, like what are their names, how old are them, how many girls, where's mama,
Yep.
because my wife's usually resting and sleeping.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like even in the very beginning, the time that I spent the most with my kids were at 4 a.m. So I would feed the babies at 4 a.m. and I would go live at 4 a.m. and I would still get like 400 or 500 people watching
Hmm.
about a month in. And I think there was a certain point where it just started really um, growing like wildfire. And now we get at least 2,000 people watching us at a given time,
That's incredible.
which is
Yeah.
so really that live. I mean, I've only gone live for less than 3 months, and we have a lot of people. We have some really diehard fans that constantly see. They get excited. I think what the next step is, I need to start scheduling my lives because right now it's all over the place. So
Hmm.
people don't know when I go live. But
Yeah.
once I schedule, people actually do register to go live as well too. So TikTok is just a whole different animal. And again,
Yes.
it's the other part too. TikTok has their own battles you got to figure
Hmm.
out as well too. It's sort of like in the beginning, I was getting what we call gifts suspended. So when I go live, I could hold the babies, I could interact with the babies, and then just to show support, people could send gifts, as in like these emojis that cost certain coins, and it stacks up.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even figure out what was going on with the algorithm, and I was constantly getting gifting suspended, which was more than frustrated. I was actually getting gifting suspended for 2 whole months. So it wasn't until last month I started, or 30 days ago, did I really start monetizing. So the
Oh,
first two
wow.
months I didn't really monetize at all because
Yeah.
I was getting suspended for showing my babies live. These something along the lines of you can't show youth as the primary subject. And I'm like, well, babies aren't the primary subject. I'm the primary subject. And I
Yeah.
would, no matter what I did, where I point the camera to face me and everything, I would constantly get suspended. It was the most frustrating thing ever.
Wow.
So you had to figure that along the way as well too. But again, it was just really meant in the beginning just to be a really, really feel good. And I think I went live when I had maybe about 10,000 followers. So, and then uh,
So you
I
built
also,
10,000 followers just off of your own TikTok videos.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And,
Okay.
and part of that too was I started to sort of see it grow. So I
Yeah.
started putting a little bit of money into it too. So I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I'll put in $50 here. I'll put in, like $100 for the month. And
Yeah.
or it came to $100 for a week. I was like, hey, I think this is gaining traction. I'm still trying to understand the algorithm too. And the algorithm is not really your best friend sometimes. You're lucky if you do get to catch that viral train. And quite honestly,
Yes.
don't think I caught the viral train, as in
Hmm.
like, posting one thing and suddenly getting a million views the next day or within a week.
Right.
So, our biggest video has probably 850,000 views, and that's over a course of 3 months.
Hmm.
So really where I started going live, and then I get to interact with people. I tell people, it's like, yeah, please follow me. You'll see photos, videos of the triplets, and I joke about things. I call my wife my baby mama, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And so I like to joke around a lot
Yeah.
on there, and it just keeps people just engaged and just
Right.
people laughing, and a lot of my dad jokes, that kind of stuff. But people started following, and I looked at it. I was like, well, I get I get more followers going live than I do trying to pay for ads to get more
Yeah.
followers. So I've gotten as many as 5,000 followers in. No, actually, I got 7,000 followers in one day.
Wow.
So again, it just goes back to like if you were running ads, you
Hmm.
probably would have had to spend $1,000
Yeah.
just to get 7,000, probably actually more than that,
And
a
there's
lot
no
more.
guarantee. There's no
And
guarantee either. Yeah. It's
the
like,
yeah,
yeah.
there's really no guarantee. So I started being consistent, started going live, interacting with people, and when I watch other people go live with their kids, again, it just goes back to I think I've been fortunate where I have a little bit of a niche that people really do enjoy. I think if I had twins, I probably may not have had as many followers. Let's just say that, right?
Yeah. That makes
So
sense.
Yeah, probably if I have
Yeah.
quads, I probably have half a million followers right now. Uh, so, but it's cool. I've met moms. It's of multiples and dads of multiples too. I've met people
That's
with
cool.
quads. I met a mom that had triplets and then triplets again after. It's
That's
crazy.
insane. That is
Yeah, it blows my
insane.
mind. So suddenly, it's you know that feeling where when you're around your friends and like they're complaining about something with their kids, and then they look at
Hmm.
you, they're like, I shouldn't be complaining. You have triplets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like
We get that
no
a
one
lot.
has that harder than us, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes I'll sit there and I'll meet a mom with quads or quintuplets, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. I was like, I was like, my life is easy. My life is easy
Yeah.
compared to, the mom having two sets of triplets. That's just so
Yeah.
impressive. So I get to interact with a lot of people, get people to share the live, and you know, people could double tap to sort of like your
Hmm.
live, right? But they could double tap multiple times. So,
Hmm.
but sometimes on a live I get anywhere from 300 to half a million likes. My big runs I get like a
That's
million
dope.
likes in 3 hours. So I think it's
Dope.
really gained a lot of traction and a lot of exposure. And then this whole collaboration thing I really did not plan for. First I was like,
Hmm.
oh man, I was like it'd be cool if we get some free gifts. And a
Yeah.
few brands reached out to us, sent us some free gifts, and they helped us.
Sweet.
It's and big shout out to Baby Brezza.
Yeah.
They recognize that we have three kids, so they give us three of everything. So we got three formula makers, we got three bottle washers.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like $1,000 worth of products every time they
Dude,
send us
that's
something.
sick.
Yeah.
I,
So again, it's
yeah.
like amazing. Like, you definitely need to go on. I'll definitely hype you up.
Yeah.
But it started off with free products, and then
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll do free products. But I remember there was this particular product. They sent me like a $70 a bottle warmer, and I'm not very good when it comes to making content. So I was like, all right, this is my first product. I've got to make this perfect. Dude, it took me like 3 hours to make this video
To
and
like
then
edit it
post
and
it
all that.
and then
Yeah.
edit and all the content and all this. And then you got to
Caption.
write the
Yeah.
script. And then I'm
Yeah.
trying to get AI to help me write a script, or I'm trying to be
Right.
authentic. And then I'm recording myself and I'm taking like 20 different takes, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, it takes forever. And I was just like, is it worth it? Is it worth like going through 3 hours of stress just for a
Yeah.
$70 bottle
Like
bottle
look at
warmer?
your hourly rate. Am I
Yeah, exactly.
is this accurate? Is this accurate
Yeah,
to what I'm getting putting into it? Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
And like again, I'm a business owner, right? So I'm going
Yeah.
through, I'm converting, my efficiency. I was like, I think I would do a lot better if I just bought the bottle. But
Yeah.
like again, it's just trials and tribulations. And I think
Right.
that's one thing I love about so far this whole TikTok thing. And also my business. Like we're constantly growing, we're doing new things.
Hmm.
Just having that excitement, and just even when it's not exciting, just instilling that excitement and say, hey, you know what, do this for the bigger picture. So it
Cool.
started off by doing just a couple products, and then we had bigger brands reach out to us. Then I learned about this thing called rate card, which is you tell them what your rate is and you show them
Yeah.
your portfolio, and then you negotiate on a price. So that's what we've
Nice.
been doing. And all I did too in the very, very beginning, and this is before I had my rate card,
Yeah.
um, I basically had AI write up a script for me. I copy and pasted, and I sent it to like 100 brands. So I sent it to Huggies, Pampers. I sent it to everybody. Of course, the big brands that actually don't really respond. It's the small brands that do.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say I
yeah,
can't. Yeah, curious about that.
yeah, yeah. And out of like, I'm not kidding. Out of the 100 brands that I reached out to, I did get like 20 responses. But of
So
those 20 responses, I got three brands that I got to work with.
when you're reaching out to like the Huggies and like the Godzillas of the baby world, brand world, how are you doing that? Are you emailing them or are you just DMing?
I'm just DMing.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
yeah, I'm just
Makes sense.
DMing.
All right.
So yeah, and it's funny because like DMing on Instagram, because I don't have a presence on Instagram as much.
Yeah.
You don't really get the same
Yeah.
response. But TikTok,
I can
if
imagine.
I reach out to one brand now, the brand responds pretty quick. And we're only,
Okay.
I mean, we're at 100. That's the other thing too, is like 150,000 followers is a lot. It's actually a very big number.
It is.
It's yeah, like in
It's
terms of
huge.
just looking at like the collaboration, how many people you interact with and
Yeah.
how many people talk to. So a million, I can't imagine what a million followers is at, but as
Yeah.
150,000 to even 10,000 followers is a lot. It's just how, people assume that there's people out there with 30 million followers suddenly,
Yeah.
100,000, not a lot, but it really is. So use that to your advantage. And I reached out to other brands, and we have enough brands that reach out to us every day that now we can make a video a day, every day, and it can, pay a salary basically. So it's
Nice.
really, really interesting being able to do that over a span of 3 months.
That's
And
cool.
part of it too is I'm learning this organically. I
Yeah.
tried to Google this, I tried to watch other videos and other trend talks, and a lot of this stuff, it doesn't really, like, they make it sound too easy. That's another
Yeah.
thing too.
Yeah.
You're like, this is a lot harder. This
Yeah.
is really, really hard, right? But you just got to stay on it. And right now, I think I'm just scratching the tip of the iceberg. I'm
Oh,
not doing it
I
consistently enough
agree.
yet.
I agree.
I think once I start really going consistent, then I think we'll definitely go viral a lot faster.
Yeah, no, that's the key word right there is the consistency, right? Like I think if you can get that narrowed
Yep.
down and can like figure out like okay, then you can evolve the strategy to so many different ways. Like there's
Oh
so I
yeah.
mean, and like the great part is not just you have your partner in crime, you have your wife. Like dude, you can really develop where you guys want to take
She's
it. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
She's starting to post. So
that's good.
she's a
She
very
should.
camera shy.
I want
Yeah,
my wife to post. I
yeah,
want my wife
yeah,
to post because, to be fair, I think most people are gonna like 9 times out of 10. I feel people are gonna want to hear more from the mom side than the dad side. Personally, like
yeah,
that's just my experience, and I do think there's those rare moments where the dads are like I've gotten comments on my TikTok about some of the podcast clips, and they're like, "Oh, this is great to hear from the dad's perspective, like from moms." But I think like I do think like but hearing from the mom directly because they're doing a majority of the work. I'm going to say majority. I think 9 times out of 10. Like I feel like it's very rare where you see the dads doing way more as far as taking care of the kids and all that, right, than the mom.
yeah.
So I feel like they're definitely more hands on. But I want my wife to do it, and I think eventually I'll get her on the podcast to talk about her perspective because I think that'd be appreciated. But yeah, like I said, your wife's posting more. That's awesome. I think you guys, like you said, tip of the iceberg.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
you got so much
Yeah.
more.
It's so funny because I remember the very first time. Like, again, I'm not a social media
Uh huh.
person. Honestly, like it's not really my forte. Um,
Hmm.
I'm just so the very first time I started climbing, I remember I got 500 followers. I was like, honey, check this out. I got 500 followers. And I was like, babe, I was like, look at this. This is 2,000
Yeah.
followers. And it got to the point where I was annoying her. I was like, because I tell her every time I got 100 followers, she's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is so annoying." But then, like, and then I finally got her to post some stuff. I was like, "Honey, I think you should really post because one, like, I think mom to dad ratio is probably 70% mom, 30%
Hmm.
dad. That's actually on
Hmm.
TikTok. So just like what you said, I told her she should post her IVF story. It's probably much different
Yeah.
from how I'm perceiving it. So I think there's a lot of content and creation and things that could evolve just like what you said from her side. So anyways, I started tagging her a lot and she got like 5,000 followers. I was like, man, this is cheating. I was like, you know how long it took me to get 5,000 followers?
She's
So
riding your coattails. She's riding your coattails,
yeah.
man.
And she's
Not
like, look,
cool.
man, look, I just got 5,000 followers in a week. So I was like, man, I was like, but
Yeah.
it's funny. So she's making more content. And
Awesome.
even though we're not planning and trying to be, again, that's the other part too, is like being able to have that open mindset, right? Like, and that's I think that's one of the best things about being a dad too is
Hmm.
and this everything that's happening in my life and everything, I'm learning how to set my ego aside. I'm
Yeah.
learning how to set my pride aside because what's more important than my ego and my pride is the survival of my family.
Right.
So, by the way, I have a video that I'm about to post, I think tonight, of me
Hmm.
promoting a breast pump, FYI. So get ready; it's going to be amazing. So,
Yeah. Nice.
but it's so funny. Is like I'm making all these videos where
Hmm.
it's just like, and this is the other part too. Is like I didn't really tell a lot of my friends that I created this thing. I feel like sometimes when you create like a channel, it's
Yes.
like, again, they have good intentions for you, but
Yes.
then they're just sort of assuming that, like, oh, you're not gonna do well, type of deal, right?
Yeah.
You know that feeling.
I'm with you. I started triplet double on the low, like on the sneaks. Like my wife
Yeah,
knows, my parents know. That's it. Like I did not promote it on my personal accounts. I was just like, I'm gonna do this quietly,
yep,
and I'm gonna keep getting the listeners and subscribers. And I think honestly, I was waiting a little bit longer until I was gonna be like, hey guys, here's the podcast, and eventually. But I didn't want to like be like episode 1, and then like
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't want to go that route because I've
Yeah,
done that before, and like you said, like I think it's just better to how we approached it, like on
yeah,
the low. Yeah.
yeah. So I did it quietly, and then um, I mean, I'm telling you, like, it's the analytics that TikTok has is very interesting as well too.
Hmm.
They know a little way too much.
Yeah.
So, and when they say like they know a little way too much, like I could see how long my longest fan has watched me,
Oh my
and
gosh.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I have fans that have watched me for over 100 hours. I have
Wow.
fans that will watch me for the full length. Like if I'm on 3 hours, I'm there for 3 hours. The top 100 people watching that at that moment have watched me for at least 2.5 hours.
Wow.
So, and just like what you said, it's like the organic viewers, right? So, like that biggest weekend when I was telling you I got 7,000 followers in a day. Well, that weekend I had 500,000 people come through. Between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I had half a
Hmm.
million people come through, like when they're just like flipping the channel. And
Yeah.
then now we're starting really the TikTok shop thing. So that's another way to
Cool.
monetize as well too, is I'm promoting these other products within TikTok shop.
Yeah.
And then as I'm posting, people get like, oh, like what diaper changer are you using, or what's that playmat? I was like, oh, I got this off my TikTok shop. So people check it and they click on it. Some people buy it, some people add it to the cart, they view it. But when that happens, I get about 300,000 impressions
Mm.
per, you know, per live. So we're talking about like I'm getting 1 million impressions of
Yeah.
free advertising per weekend.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to not have to worry about putting money and trying to promote the ad or anything. It's just by going live, interacting. And they're like, hey,
Yeah.
real quick, I was like, I recommend this nasal aspirator. This is what I use for my babies to suck their boogers.
Yeah.
And I'm learning how to craft, so like I'm still learning how to evolve into a little bit more of a content creator and promoting certain products and figuring out what people, helping creating content around different hooks and that kind of stuff as well too. But it's just like we're only at 150,000 followers and we're getting 1 million impressions
Hmm.
when it comes to going live for the weekend. So that part's really really cool. And
That's
again, it
cool.
goes back to what you're saying is there's so many things you can evolve um, in different paths that I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, maybe I should just stick to this and let's see where it takes you.
That's awesome, man. Well, 150,000 followers and counting. I know. I know you're gonna hit a million soon. I'm just glad I got you before you got too big and I couldn't reach you.
No, you're good, man. You're good, dude. I'm really excited for your podcast. It's
Yeah.
it's very
Thanks, man.
inspiring. And like again, they
Thank you.
always say this, and every time I want to beat myself up, they always say, your first 100 videos are probably gonna suck.
Yeah.
So just make the damn video. Just
Yeah.
make the video, just post it. Who
Well
cares?
said. Well
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
So again, it just goes back to for the dads and moms who are watching and they want to create your own content. Like, don't worry so much about trying to make that first video perfect. The
Hmm.
chances of it going viral or is very very little. It's all
Hmm.
about the consistency, and that's why I said about in business as well too. Like outside of the social media world, in real life, when it comes to picking up good habits, trying to do things, try to better yourself, it's all about consistency. It's not
Yeah.
like going to the gym once and having a 3 hour workout. It's just having those little workouts consistently. So I think that's sort of what I'm learning right now is learning how to be consistent with our path. And yeah, let's make it happen. So
Well,
I appreciate you inviting me, and I'm really excited for your podcast. It's going to be freaking awesome, man. So
thanks. Thanks, Kevin. I really, I again, so what a, how, like, it was like a very spontaneous interaction. Like, you posted in the Triplet Dad. This is a little context for everyone listening. Kevin had posted in the Facebook group Triplet Dad Life, or not Triplet Dad Life. Sorry, that's your TikTok handle. He posted in the
nice.
Facebook group Dads of Triplets, and he promoted his TikTok, letting everyone know he goes live and how well he was doing. Well, I had reached out to Kevin in the comments saying, "Hey, well, you should definitely like I'm starting the podcast." He did this like I think he did. You commented this like 1 or 2 weeks after I had gotten the idea for it, and I had started to like put together like an outline and I had commented and told Kevin, like, hey, I'm going to get a podcast going. I'd love to have him as a guest. And Kevin got back to me. Been following him on TikTok ever since. And honestly, it's been really cool how we've been able to get this together. You know what I mean? Like, that's just awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the thing we didn't really talk about, the best part about social media is the
Mhm.
community that you build.
Yes.
So if we're able to build a community where we could help support each other, like let's freaking do it. And we're doing it
Yeah,
organically, which is awesome. So again, we're
it
not trying
is.
to go in and right out the gate and say, hey, we are the best people and you have to follow us. That's and we're authentic, that kind of stuff. Like just
Hmm.
follow our journey. I think it's
Right.
fun. It's really fun watching somebody want to start something and they're planting the seed, and 2 years from now, you sort of get to see where that seed grows.
Yeah. Really quick, tell me about your actual business and what it's
But,
called and what you do really quick. I think
yeah.
just so I can learn about that.
Yeah, so my company, the long name is Electronic Services and Concierge.
Okay.
And we just go by ESC, and our
Okay.
website's escdenver.com. So my company, we design smart houses. So we're actually a low voltage firm where I'll tell you I'll tell you the sexy part and the non-sexy part.
Yeah.
The non-sexy part is we're a low voltage company, so we pull wire, anything that's not electrical, we pull. And generally, when you're building a custom house, we go in, we pull wires for cameras and speakers and TVs and
Cool.
shades. Now, where our flair comes in is we specialize in what we call like smart homes or control systems. So we build and design systems that have like an interface that control all the technology that's in your house.
Wow.
And then being able to walk into a house and press like, you're coming home, you press home, and the house turns on the exact way you want it. So maybe music starts playing in all the main areas. I can have the lights come on at a certain setting.
Hmm.
It's in the evening, so let's have our accent lights come on and let's make it more, let's build the ambiance.
That
Um,
is sweet. It's like a rich man's Alexa,
Yes,
right?
it's
Yeah.
definitely Alexa on steroids. So,
Yes. I was gonna say.
and yeah, and I started with an Alexa trying to sort of do what I did, but now we built systems that, can manage hundreds and hundreds of devices. And we built enterprise level networks. We built AI systems that can manage all the
Wow.
cameras and the security that's all around the house. You walk up to the house and our system catches your face, catches your license plate, and it tells us when you walked on the premise. So we do some really, really crazy high-end stuff. And
That's
then when it
awesome.
comes to entertainment, our big thing is entertainment, is really building, these elaborate AV surround sound home theater systems. We could get into golf simulators, but like if you're throwing a party, we want you to be able to sort of walk around the house and the music flows with where you're walking. So it's just building that, awesome
Sweet.
experience. And then we add a little bit of our flair. So we've done a lot of really other cool things. We've done, TV lifts that sort of drop from the ceiling because there's not a wall to hold a TV,
Yeah.
right? So we've done TVs that pop up from the ground. We've done,
Wow.
120-inch projection screens, 200-inch projection screens that drop from the ceiling. We do some really high-end shades where these really big modern houses that have these, 16-foot, big windows,
Hmm.
having, your typical shade store can't really accommodate that. So we build these
Yeah.
custom things, and we have to hide a lot of this technology. So we're specialists at, hiding all your shades, hiding a lot of these things. We have speakers that are invisible. Speakers that actually go into the wall. You could paint and mud over it, and then the sound still carries through the wall. So
Wow.
again, it just goes back to it's all about the experience with what we do. We work with a handful of custom builders in Colorado, and we're extremely busy.
That's awesome, man. That is great. I think I'm glad you're able to share that a little bit because I was always curious. Like I knew you had an electronics company, but I didn't know the full scale of what you guys are capable of.
Yeah.
So
So no, we've done some really, really cool stuff, and every house is going to be a smart house. Actually,
yeah,
every house is a smart house now. Every new house that's being built, whether if it's, you have a handful of Ring cameras and a Nest thermostat that's in
yeah,
there that does, and an Alexa that doesn't make your house smart. We just
hmm,
do it at a really, really high level where, when we're working in a 10 or 15,000 square foot house, we have to be able to build that technology and build the security behind it too,
yeah,
because we have, very high level or high profile clients sometimes, and security is like the number one thing when it comes to network and also physical security as well too. So just being able to accommodate those type of needs. And then we're even in renewable energy now. We built these massive energy storage systems, like these
hmm,
giant batteries that can back up a whole entire house. It's like the Tesla battery packs, but just on a much higher scale. Could handle 800 amps, and can power a house off the grid, that kind of stuff. So we're getting to a lot of renewable energy as well.
That's awesome, bro. That is. I would love to. We can sit all day and talk about this further, but I know you have to
No
go.
worries.
I know. We have triplets. We can't. We don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
the.
we
Yeah,
got a
we're
little,
lucky.
yeah,
We're lucky. We got 90 minutes out of this, but
yeah.
yeah.
So,
No, that's
well,
awesome. Well, tell me really quick for everyone listening. I want to. I will put it in the summary notes too, but people can reach you at on TikTok at Triplet Dad Life, and then now if anyone was had any inquiries for your electronics company, what's a good contact email and like
so,
method? What's the best
so,
way?
so our website is escdenver.com, like Echo Sam Charlie.
Great.
So,
Awesome.
so,
Not
e- so,
straightforward.
so, yep, just go to escdenver.com. You'll find out a lot more about what we do. You could also submit inquiry that goes to our direct sales team, and then we'll reach out to you.
Perfect. All right, Kevin. Well, I won't keep you too much longer. All right. Just wanted to thank you again for your time. Thanks for being here. And, I look forward to getting this episode out there. And I think people are going to really appreciate your perspective as a father, as a dad of triplets, and not just a business owner, but also I'm going to give you that title of content creator because you are. So I think, you're
Thanks.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Yeah. So no, I appreciate you having me on the show. Like again, I look forward to connecting with you again. I'm really excited for your journey. It's going to be amazing. And like again, I hopefully, you know, the new dads that we meet,
Hmm.
we're going to be able to sort of round each other up, and let's hype each other up, and not just dads, moms too. So
Yes.
I think there's just in this new day and age, like there's just so many ways to connect that I think
Right.
we should really capitalize on it.
Agreed. All right. Thanks everyone for listening.
All right.
Thanks again for listening to the Triplet Double podcast. I'm excited to bring on more guests and keep these conversations going. If you enjoyed this episode, follow along on social media to stay updated. And if you have questions or ideas for future guests, email me at isaiah@tripletdouble.com. We'll see you next time.